jump into this. Harvey Hyde, Coach Harvey Hyde. Sorry, I forgot to start the YouTube. Not stream, but it's a recording. But here we go. Let's jump into it. Sorry, let me just grab the questions here, and let's just grab. Let's make sure that we're actually live here. Sportscaster.com. Am I actually live right now? Yes, I am. Okay, we are live here with Coach Harvey Hyde, ladies and gentlemen. And Coach Hyde, our first question for you: what made you want to coach football?
Well, I'll tell you what it was. Sports and playing after school, and a lot of my friends were all kids, and we played together, and I grew up with every type of ball and shape there was. And from elementary school to junior high school to high school, sports were a big part of my life. And after I got into high school, I loved sports, and I figured that I had to continue playing sports. It helped me with my grades and moving on, so I went to junior college. And then after junior college, I wanted to continue playing, so I had to go to a four-year university, and along the way, I was getting my degree. And then finally it became time when I had to graduate. And when I graduated and had to select a major, I said, I want to keep doing this. I love it. I want football and the student athletes and everyone to be a part of my life. Now, how do I do that? So what I had to do is to find a way to continue and get a general secondary credential, a master's credential, be a graduate assistant, and work my way up as far as I didn't just start at UNLV and so on. I had to move around a lot and pay my dues like everybody does in anything they do. I started in high school in Riverside, California. Then I was very fortunate to go to Pasadena City College as the defensive coordinator. And we were very fortunate to win there, went to the Junior Rose Bowl, so I had an opportunity then to be the defensive coordinator at the University of Hawaii. So I went to Hawaii, and then the head football coaching position opened up at Pasadena City College, so I had a great opportunity to become a head football coach, and where I went to school and where I coached as an assistant. And then after a few years, I had the opportunity of going to UNLV as a head football coach, and it was a great opportunity to coach Division I football, and I coached there. We had a lot of success in most of the programs I was at. I got out of football and got into broadcasting, and then George Allen, who was the head coach of the Redskins and the Rams, asked me to come to Cal State Long Beach when he was there and be his associate head coach, defensive running back coach, recruiting coordinator. You did it, name it, and I did it. He was with Coach. He was then not coaching. He was then in Washington D.C. with President Reagan. So I ran the program until he came back to Long Beach, and I coached the year with him there. And then I went full time, radio, television, National Game of the Week. Did a lot of different activities, and now I'm enjoying sharing my experiences with all of you listeners out there, but what I learned and what's going on.
Okay, so you started, as you said, you started off your head coaching career with your alma mater, Pasadena City College. How was it like going back to coach at your alma mater?
Hey, I want to tell you, it was an honor. It was an honor to go there as an assistant, and it was an honor to go back at a university you go to school at. It means more to you. Not that they all don't mean a lot to you, but to be able to turn around a program, they had to be very successful, and go in there with the dream of maybe someday being a champion or win a national championship or something. And that's what we worked for. And I was very fortunate to hire great coaches. We were very fortunate to recruit great players. And with a combination of great players and great coaches and basically a good leader out there as a general or somebody that's in charge, we won a lot of football games. And that's how really I became a head football coach at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. There has never been a junior college coach become a head coach in Division I football. But because of our success at Pasadena City College, which is a community college, I was able to go there as the head football coach, and we were able to do a great job there too with the likes of Randall Cunningham and Nicky Woods and other great players. Again, the same combination of great coaches and great players make things happen.
Yeah, you went to UNLV in 1982, and you immediately were a hit. You had a great season. How was it coaching? Your first game coaching for a D1 team.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was different. We never played before big crowds. At Pasadena City College, probably the biggest crowd we played in front of was at Bakersfield Junior College, where they had at least 15,000 people. And our opening game at BYU, we were on national television. It was about 105 degrees, and we opened up against BYU on national television with Steve Young. Now, we didn't know who Steve Young was because the year before that, Jim McMahon was the quarterback, and he had then went on to the Chicago Bears, so we didn't know what to expect. So we went out there, and of course, it was our first game as a staff and also as players together, and we played one of the top teams in the country with a great quarterback, and we were beat 27-0 before a sellout crowd at a Sam Boyd Stadium, which was absolutely what an experience. My first game at coaching Division I on national television against the Hall of Famer Steve Young, and I have Randall Cunningham on the bench. I'm redshirting him for the next year. So it was a great experience, but yet I wasn't used to losing a lot of football games, let alone get shut out. So we had to go back to the drawing board and find out exactly more. You learn every day. You try to get better and better.
Yeah, I have a ranch up in Wyoming. It's it's like about, I'd say, 6 hours, a 6 hour drive from Provo, and it gets really hot in the summers. But you played against your former team in 1984. Your former team being Hawaii. You were a defensive coordinator there. How did it feel?
Well, I tell you, it was unique, and boy, you come up with really good questions. I don't know where you're getting these, but you're real good at what you do. It was something that was very important to me to go back wherever you were before. And we had a great football team, and that was when Randall Cunningham was there. We had 11-2 season that year, I think it was. No, can't remember. No, yeah, 11-2, and we went back to Hawaii, and they were undefeated. They had a great football team. We were both undefeated at that time. They had a great football team. And to go back and to walk around the stadium and at the same time, all the officials before the game, the officials come running over and talking to you. I should have known right then. I got a problem. When the officials are all the same guys that were still officiating when I was coaching there. And I know that they live there. We're just visiting. So we had a great football game with them. We lost a very close football game. That was one of our losses. We lost 2 games that year. We lost to Hawaii. We lost to SMU, who beat Notre Dame, beat Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl. We played them to a great game. So it was really important that you could win at places you played at before, and it was a very discouraging loss. And I felt real bad about it. But I was excited about going back and playing at the university in Hawaii against the Rainbows, they call it, then.
Yeah, so you played against SMU. That was your game before the California Bowl against Toledo, where you won 30-13. SMU, obviously, you hear later that they were paying players. And, it was really interesting. I haven't watched Pony Excess. I may watch it this afternoon. But, it was a major, major turning point. How did you feel when you heard that SMU was paying their players?
Well, we knew they had a great football team. They really had a great football team and great players, which made great football teams and good coaches. And I really didn't get involved in that too much. Everybody, if you start worrying too much about other people's programs, then you're really not doing anything yourself. I used to talk about our program rather than other people's programs, not only when we played it, but also when we recruited. If people were talking too much about me, I would say, well, what about their program? What do they have to say? But we knew The game was scheduled before I went to UNLV. We knew they were one of the top teams in the country, and they were on the schedule. So we got ready to play, and we played them, we thought, in a really good football game at home against one of the top teams in the country. So it was a learning factor for us, too. We had to figure out a way to get better if we're going to play these type of players. We got to get better ourselves in coaching, recruiting, and get better players. So we learned from that. And it was a great experience, and now we can say we played against one of the best teams in the country. Whether they got the death penalty, whatever happened, that's not my decision of any way. They were on our schedule. We were going to have to play them, so why talk about all the other things? Let's just try to play them and beat them.
Yeah, USC got a similar death penalty earlier this century. But moving on to our next question, you were at UNLV the same time as Tark, one of the greatest college basketball coaches ever to ever coach in college basketball. How was he, and did you feel pressured to make football great because you coached at primarily a basketball school?
I feel honored to be there when he was there. First of all, we were good friends because he coached at Pasadena City College when I was coaching football at Pasadena City College. He went to Pasadena City College, too, before going to Fresno State. His brother is probably my best friend I've ever had. He's like my brother. So we knew each other, and he helped me get the job there, to be completely honest with you. And I used the momentum of what UNLV had to help our football program because everybody knew who the Running Rebels were. Everybody knew who the Running Rebels were. And when we recruited, I would highlight our basketball program and take our recruits to the basketball games where they were completely sold out with the light display and everything that went on. And I'd also introduce them to Coach Jerry Tarkanian, Shark to Tark. And this was a big thing to kids. So we used the momentum of UNLV's basketball program to help develop our football program. So I felt real good about being at what they called then a basketball school, but they had everybody knowing who they were, and when we started recruiting people, they had already heard of UNLV.
Okay, now to move on to USC. What do you think about USC bringing in Mike Bone from Cincinnati? He had great success in Cincinnati. You know, Cincinnati just rose up to being one of the top football schools in the nation. You know, just coming out of the middle of nowhere, kind of like what Western Michigan was back in 2017, coming out of the middle of nowhere and just going undefeated for a couple years straight. What do you think about that signing?
Well, first of all, I was excited because they finally got an athletic director who's been an athletic director before. And have been in, now I'm not talking about Mike Garrett and those, I'm talking about the past two athletic directors that really didn't have the experience of Pat Hayden and the other young man, I can't remember.
Lynn Swan.
Yes. Yeah, both of them, big name, big athletes, so on, different fields. And they hadn't really, had the experience of being an athletic director. And when you are an athletic director, you're a leader. You're not a public figure anymore. Your coaches are, your players are. You're the one that assists them in every way possible to help them be successful. Well, unless you learn by coming up in the program that way, and it's very difficult for you because you don't know the NCAA, you don't have friends on the NCAA committee, you haven't been on an NCAA committee, you don't know how to work the college football and budgets and so on and work with all the other Olympic sports. So it's a very difficult job, and you have to be very experienced at it. So no matter what, Mike Bone was a better hire than those two. And I think a lot of the difficulty, nothing against either individual, they're very successful people, but it wasn't the right hire as far as at USC. At USC, you can hire anybody in the country, as far as your football coach or as far as your athletic director, because USC is USC. There's not many schools that have the rich tradition as a Trojan. I mean, when you talk about Alabama, you talk about Ohio State, you talk about Michigan, you talk about Notre Dame. Well, in the same breath is USC and the Trojans, and that's what everybody looks at them as, and that's where they should be and remain there, not be worried about, oh, we're opening against Alabama. I would look forward to opening against Alabama because in the past they played Alabama. In the past they played Auburn. In the past they've beaten Arkansas. In the past they played all of those Southeastern Conference schools, and there's no reason they can't play them today and beat them today. So I think that they've put a lot of emphasis now. Mike Bohn has done a good job in assisting Coach Clay Helton with his staff, and there's a lot of work still to be done. But I think they're headed in the right direction with an athletic director, to answer your question, that knows what he's doing.
Okay, what are your expectations for USC this year? Maybe a little Rose Bowl action, maybe a little college football playoff action, but just if they go to the Rose Bowl and they open the Rose Bowl, I'm probably gonna go. I don't care if my dad and I can go down there. I really don't care if they COVID it. I think I'll go if USC makes it to the Rose Bowl. But what are your expectations for USC this year?
Well, I tell you, if they go to the Rose Bowl, they're going to be in the playoffs. Okay, so you're going to a playoff game because the Rose Bowl is hosting a playoff game this year.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's true. So you're going to be going to a playoff game, or if they win the conference and they're not selected, then they'll probably go to the Fiesta Bowl and play someone there from the Big Ten or the Big Ten Conference champion there if they're not in the playoff game. But I certainly would look at USC always in a position they better be to be able to play anybody in the conference or anybody out of conference. So what is my expectations as far as USC this year? I would like to think that there's no reason why I would start the season as a head football coach thinking we can beat anybody. And you better believe in that, otherwise you haven't recruited properly or you don't have the right coaches on your staff. But you certainly do have the tradition and all of the thought that it takes to play in Alabama or to play at Stanford or to play at Cal or to play in Arizona or to play Arizona State or to play Utah. Doesn't make any difference. You've got to look at those as all opponents that you can beat. And people don't want to play you. You have a tough time scheduling because you're USC. And in the old days, the way it used to be, they would say, we don't want to play you, or we play you for money, but I don't really want to play you, or we'll play you, but it's got to be like $2 million to come to the Coliseum. But right now, my feeling for USC this year, I think they have the potential to be a good football team. And again, you've got to be lucky because my main concern is the protection of their quarterback, Kendon Solis, because when they do what they do offensively, and you know where he is, they lost him last year in the bowl game. They lost also J.T. Daniels. When you don't move your quarterback around and you throw the football the entire time, then your target is the quarterback. But the opponent knows that you take the quarterback out of the game, and I'm not talking about injury, but you take him out of the game, and all of a sudden it's a different football team, but they're only one dimension. They don't run the football. They don't believe in running the football. They can't run the football when they have to run the football, but they don't believe it. So my main concern is the offensive side of the football, the protection of Solis, the quarterback, plus the improvement of the defense as far as going against an offense and a defense that match up, where they both get better by going against each other. Now, a defense at USC will have a difficult time getting ready to play opponents who run the ball or do different things to what USC does offensively because they don't see it until they see it game day. So I think there's got to be a philosophy where they both work and help each other to become great. But as far as the season is concerned, I would say they can beat every single team on their schedule if they want it, and they put it together, and they do what's right.
Yeah. Okay. So our final question: do you have any advice for my viewers, broadcasting wise and life wise?
Well, I tell you, an advice for you. Yeah, my advice for you is you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be learning. I'm a good friend, or was a good friend of Keith Jackson. Now, Keith Jackson's one of the all-time broadcasters, not only in football, but he did every sport there was, okay? In fact, I'm on the Rose Bowl Legacy Foundation, and we raised money to name the Press Box Broadcasting Center after Keith Jackson. We also put a statue this past summer out in the Hall of Fame area of Keith Jackson because of what he brought to college football. And I've heard so many stories from Keith Jackson as far as how he got into broadcasting. And he remembered, he told me stories just like you. When he used to walk to school or ride his mule to school down in Georgia, he used to broadcast the games going to school and broadcast the games walking back through the cornfield like he was broadcasting a Rose Bowl game or broadcasting some event. Just like in those days, they didn't have podcasts. They couldn't practice with somebody like you're in one area and I'm in a different area. So you had to do it yourself. And what you're doing right now is the smartest thing. You're starting young. You're meeting people. You're having a chance to ask questions, prepare things, and experience things that a lot of people don't have the opportunity of experiencing. And the only way you really learn is by doing. You've got to do things. I think that's really important. Like down the road sometime, I might have you on one of my shows, which would give you a real experience of being on a live radio show, not knowing maybe what I'm even going to ask you. So you learn how to be prepared to answer questions quickly, but I wouldn't put you on the spot in any way. So what you're doing is, first of all, you've got to be well-rounded. You've got to get your grades, but you've got to have fun, and you've got to enjoy what you do. You've got to love what you do, and you've got to be willing to do a lot of things for free. Because when I used to hire anybody, or when I went into radio, I didn't ask them, how much does this job pay? I would just say, I just want the job, and you pay me what I'm worth when you decide. Because that will open a lot of doors. Too many people are worried about how much they make rather than the experiences they get. And now you have set up something that you're calling around and you're learning and you're talking to people. You ask me a question that I'm answering for you or other young people who are listening. The main thing is take advantage of opportunity. Make sure you don't do all social media. Meet people in person. Be able to look at people in the eye when you shake their hand. Make sure you say thank you, please, and you're courteous to people, but you never get a chance at a second impression. Someone either likes you or they don't like you when they first meet you. So just practice those things and work hard. Stay out of trouble. Be safe. Love your parents or your family that you're around. Remember, no one loves you more than they do. And you just follow their direction, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of opportunities. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Some great advice from Coach Harvey Hyde. And, fight on from my family to yours. And, I heard that your birthday is coming up, so happy birthday. Have a great birthday. And, have a great day.
Hey, you're absolutely the best. And I'll tell you, I love you as a young man that's got a lot of energy. You keep up the good work up there, and I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
You.
Have a great day.
Thank you. I will, and you too.
Okay. Have a great day. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. So that was Coach Harvey Hyde. The thing on YouTube, the thing with YouTube and Instagram, my broadcast went using the internal microphone on my computer on, my YouTube broadcast. And if you heard anything, I have been listening to my own broadcast using my headphones because I don't want, because there's a 10-second delay, a typical 10-second delay with OBS and Sportscaster. I didn't want that to happen, and I was making sure that it didn't cut out, but this thing ended up using the internal microphone instead of using my actual microphone. Here, as you can see, I don't want to show the actual logo because I could get copy striked or something on YouTube, but I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you so much. Thank you to Coach Harvey Hyde. It was a major, I just came in there on Monday. I was like, I think Sunday, Monday, I was like, can I interview you? He said, yeah, what time? Or it was Tuesday, and he was like, what time? I was like, what time works for you? And he was like, no, what time works for you? Anytime Thursday, though. And I was like, okay, 1:30. And he said, I'll call you, and, we'll conduct the interview. And thank you, Mr. Hyde. Thank you, Coach Hyde. And fight on, and let's do this. Go Trojans. Thank you for joining the Hugo Sports 360 broadcast. Okay, so YouTube, the thing ended up, cutting out. So you guys are hearing me through the internal microphone, and you'll hear Harvey Hyde through the internal microphone on my computer instead of my actual microphone that I'm using. So if I tap my computer, you're going to hear it. But if I tap my mic, it's not going to hear it because it's on. I streamed on OBS. If you want to watch that, I'll link it in the description. But thank you guys for joining me, and have a great day, and fight on. Go Trojans.